All right, so very good morning and thanks for joining us right here on eNCA. The South African football fraternity is reeling following the death of a former Bafana defender and, of course, a Mamelodi Sundowns man, Anele Ngcongca. He died in a car crash this morning, and the former Mamelodi Sundowns player was traveling from Empangeni. The 33-year-old recently concluded a move to AmaZulu after spending 3 seasons with the Brazilians. To get some reaction on the matter, we are joined via Zoom by a South African Players Union Association President Thulaganyo Gaoshubelwe. Very good morning, Thulaganyo. Thanks for joining us today. Firstly, condolences to yourself, and of course, just presenting here something that has been just heartbreaking for many South African football fans. How did you receive the news?
Good morning, Arthur, and good morning to the viewers. Arthur, no one at all is prepared for such a moment. And more so when you're still looking forward to really get some experience, benefit, be able to know that the country itself has benefited from Anele, and we're still looking for greater things to come. You would know that Anele, in his own words, he had said, I think he still had about 3 years left in those beautiful legs that he had. And after which, then he would see how to give back into the communities and so forth. We have received these news this morning with shock, and would also want to extend, of course, our deepest condolences to the family and friends and everybody close to Anele, the African fraternity as well as globally.
Well, Thulaganyo, I know that the story is still developing, but what has happened from what you can gather so far?
We understand that the car that he was traveling in crashed into another car. Like you're rightfully saying, we don't know what the story is. The issues are still catching. However, what we wanted to do ourselves is at this particular moment to get to understand exactly who this individual was. We encouraged firstly by the character that Anele was. We have learned, of course, quite a number of things from him. You'd recall that Anele was one person who would not shy away from raising issues. When he left Belgium, he would have spoken about issues of racism. But importantly from us as a South African context, Anele has taught us one thing, and one thing which is very important, and something that we have been complaining about, saying when players passed on, they die and they leave their loved ones in some financial complaints. Anele, in his own mouth, around June, he had indicated that he had saved enough, and he started discussions around what players can do to save. He challenged everybody and the players to say, it is time for us to be able to save. And not only the players, by the way. He also challenged the system to say, there is a way that we can do this thing. How do we do it? We can make sure that everybody who plays football is then able to save going forward. As the South African Football Players Union, we want to also take this opportunity to encourage, as we've always done, the players, as we are taking them through the advanced driving skills, to say, these are some of the things. And I'm just raising this point without necessarily suggesting that Anele was driving at the time, because the details are a bit sketchy. But we continue, and we also want to encourage the community, the nation at large, to say, this time, we also know that during this time, we lose a lot of people on our roads. We really need to be extra careful. We really need to know exactly where we're going and so forth, so that we are then able to save ourselves, and save our families from the troubles that comes, as a result of passing on.
As you did say, Thulaganyo, is it a concern for SAFPU that a lot of talent is lost via car accidents?
No, absolutely. Any life lost is too many, is one too many. And more so that you know that just recently, about a week or two ago, fortunately, the players are still alive. At Celtic, they were involved in an accident. That is a call for concern to say all of us, as South Africans, we really need to be careful when it comes to the use of the roads. because without paying proper attention in what we do, in particular when we drive, we're going to end up with a situation where we lose such young talent. It's really a sad thing to lose such talent. And we are, of course, very concerned. And hence we have decided as a South African Football Players Union to embark on a road education on issues of advanced driving, to say, what is it that we need to take care of? And because we are not saying you'll avoid accidents, they do happen. But we also know that by the time we get there, I mean, if you have done your advanced training, because it will take you on the do's and the don'ts, whether you need to, wear your safety belt, drive, not under the influence, and so forth and not. And by saying so again, I need to emphasize this point. I'm not saying this is what happened in this particular case, but we are raising these issues based on the experiences that we would have had as an organization to ensure that we empower our own people. And we would also want, those that we work with, to ensure that all stakeholders, lend a helping hand to ensure that our players are then able, to stand for themselves, but not only players, also the community at large, to ensure that we obey and abide by the rules of the road. To an extent that you are a bit fatigued, you just need to take that rest and ensure that when you start again, you move on. But we know that, especially in crashes, you'd never know that when something crashes or involved in an accident, any of the two parties might have been on the wrong side of the law. And we don't want to jump into conclusion, but we want to give all this necessary support to the family of Anele and ensure that all proper processes that needs to be followed are followed. And we'll make sure that we go and visit family and see how best we can assist them during this particular time.
Well said, Thulaganyo. Have you been in contact with the family, and what have they said about the matter so far?
I thought we still, this was too early, but of course, you know that players have got their own representatives sometimes, those that are their guardians when it comes to football. We have spoken with Anele representative. We have spoken, we have shared, we have passed our condolences. We felt it necessary that we allow, at least for these spaces, we know that it happened around 5 o'clock, and we said, let us see how the day goes, and before the end of today, definitely we'll be able to get in touch with the family and spoke to them. But we spoke with the representative of the player, in relation to what transpired and how best, as an organization, we can assist. And I think we agree on one thing and one thing only, that we need to do everything in ensuring that we give respect, the necessary respect that we can to Anele, and going forward to see how best we can draw, from the lessons that we have been learning over, a longer time period in terms of how to avert and ensure that some of these issues we deal with them much better.
All right, that was the SAFPU President Thulaganyo Gaoshubelwe speaking to us, of course, about the passing of Anele Ngcongca, and of course condolences to him and his family.